Well, good morning again from Colorado Springs. This is 9/10/19. This is the day before 9/11. 9/11, as y'all remember, most of you remember, because we have not forgotten, is when New York was attacked. The whole country was attacked by some very mean-spirited, very evil people. And today, what I'd like to talk about is 18 years ago, remembering what took place in New York City at the Trade Towers. And I'd like us to focus on very simply, our first responders and our military. These guys deserve a lot of honor and praise. Now, just like politicians, there's some really good ones and there's some really crummy ones. But let's not forget that we're all part of this life together, and sometimes we make things more difficult than they need to be. So, in all this, what I call angst, there's a lot of angst in society today in this world, and I know because I shouldn't, as a Christian, live with any angst, any um, attitude, you know. But I have to confess, I do. I do live with a little angst. Um, the military overspends. They waste billions, probably every month, on junk that doesn't need to be wasted. Um, our government overspends billions and billions, hundreds of billions. That's wasted. Our politicians, most if not all of them, I don't know, how it all breaks down exactly. I'm not an expert, but they all have health insurance. At most levels, they have pensions. They have aides. People in the office that work with them or for them. They have expense accounts and so on and so on. Taxpayers pay for that. So and we have, and here's another one that just drives me nuts. Almost every town across the country, every county, what happens every year, every couple years? Taxes go up, right? Property taxes, maybe sales tax, some kind of tax, always goes up. What do you get for it? What do you get? What do we get for it? 99% of the time, in my opinion, you don't get anything for it. But they keep claiming we need more money to fix the schools, to fix the roads, to fix some issue, clean needles to, drug addicts so they can live on the street and push shopping carts. And, so there's reason for us to be a little upset. There's reason for us, I think, to have a little angst in our lives. I don't want to live like that. Um, I want to see my glass as not just half full, but like 90% full. I want my glass to be full. You know what I mean? And so 18 years ago, as we remember today, tomorrow there's going to be a lot of, I'm sure there'll be a lot of programs on television if they're not already on. There'll be, news media and different programs and different celebrations and different, you know, things honoring, what happened and remembering what happened 18 years ago. But one of the things I'd like us to do, in spite of all this mess, in spite of the angst, in spite of, a little turmoil that's still in our world, is I want us to remember a couple things. What do we do when we live in this fast-paced 18 years ago? I can remember where I was, what I was doing, who I was with, that very moment all that stuff that went down. And for the next couple of weeks in Illinois, in Chicago area, where we lived outside of Chicago, about a half hour, um, there wasn't a plane in the air for a week, week and a half, 2 weeks. It was unbelievable, unbelievable. Um, what do we do with all this mess? It, you know, school shootings and other shootings in other areas, other venues. What do we do with all this stuff? Well, I for one, I have to give it to God. If I don't give it to God, if I don't walk daily with Him and allow Him to work in me and guide me and direct me, I'll tell you what, you don't want to be around me, man, because I could be kind of ornery, and I don't want to live like that. So what we do is we turn to a passage in Proverbs 3, um, verse 5 and 6. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart." I'll read that to me. Howie, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not rely on your own insight. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your paths straight. Another translation is, He will direct your paths. He will direct your ways. Um, uh, let's read a little further. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. It will be healing to your flesh, to my flesh, and a refreshment to my body, to our body. Could it be more simple than that? No, no. Trust in my ways, trust in the things that I think and I want and I purpose, and I get a little ornery, a little, I'd be mean-spirited. I don't want to be like that. Trust in Him. He'll direct my paths. He'll make my ways straight. He'll give me peace. He'll give me comfort. I think if we all think like that, that would be, might be a good thing. Something to consider. So back to how do we do this? What do we do in our daily walk? I'm not talking about 10 years from now or a month from now. What do we do? What am I going to do today? I've tried to make it a practice when I see a military person, especially dressed in fatigues or some kind of uniform. If I'm at a restaurant, if I'm at a Subway, I'm at a Wendy's, whatever. In Colorado Springs, a lot of military bases here. Thousands of opportunities for us as civilians, as my son calls it, because he's a Marine up in Alaska. What do we do as civilians to honor these young men and women? And well, you buy them a sandwich, you buy them lunch, you buy them breakfast, you buy them a coffee at McDonald's, and you just step in and say, hey, excuse me, I know you may not want me to or let me, but I'm going to buy you breakfast. Would you mind? Can I honor you with that? And we do. And I do. Wave to a cop. You know, I'm being honest here. My videos are all going to be honest, and they're going to be geared mostly toward men. I had issues, and I still have issues with cops. Not all cops. Some cops. All right. It's like neighbors. You got good neighbors, you got bad neighbors. Okay. You've got a lot of good cops. Probably 80-90% of them out there in America are upright. Loving their jobs, wanting to help the community. And then you got a few that, because they have a badge, you got a gun, they got all this, they think that they're tough guys. And I don't like tough guys. I hate tough guys. And so what do we do? Well, wave at a cop. Wave at a cop. He's got his window down. You got your window down. He's at a corner. He's playing with his laptop computer there. He's conducting business most of the time. And what do? Wave to a cop. Wave to him. You see a cop, going in and out of a store. You say, hey, thanks for your service. And like cops, you don't have to like one cop in America. But you know what? One thing we all have to understand, they got a tough job. They got a tough job. Probably one of the toughest jobs in America. Really is. You can be digging ditches or doing roofing or, humping lumber all day or, driving a truck cross country. Tough jobs. But boy, I tell you what, being a cop is a really, really demanding, high stress. And for all the cops out there that may see this, I will plead with you, plead with you. Have some grace in your job. Show some compassion and some restraint when you're out there pulling somebody over for doing 11 miles over the speed limit, or their tag's expired by 3 days, or just chill out. Chill out, man. We're all in this together. And I would ask that you, the cops, go to Proverbs 3. Read the whole book of Proverbs. It's about patience. It's about trust. It's about what do we do in our walk, in our daily walk. How do we deal with stress and weirdos out there that we have to deal with every single day. I'm giving it to you, cops. You guys got a tough job. You got a demanding job. Where do you guys turn? Turn to Proverbs. Turn to God. Turn to Scripture. Don't go to don't turn to the bars. Don't turn to the porn, to porn, strip clubs. Don't do it. Just don't do it. You in 10 years, 20 years, you look back and go, man, that one video I watched like 20 years ago, that guy just said, man, turn to Scripture. And I did it. Now I don't have a whole bunch of regrets. If I can just be this much help to a couple men in this world, it's all worth it. It's all worth it. So cops, we want to honor you, and we want to value you. We want to tell you that we're on the same team, and we're in your corner going to battle with you. Honk at a fireman. I love honking at guys. Most of the guys that are driving up in the front, usually if it's a big fire truck, the front windows are usually up because they're on their headsets, and a lot of times you get those little bunk seats in the back, and where the firemen are facing the opposite direction. A lot of times their windows are down, and sometimes they have headsets on, sometimes they don't. And if I'm next to them, I give them a honk, a little fist pump, a little whatever. Let's just honor each other. Let's honor our first responders. Nobody on the planet knows what it's like running into a burning building, or to a car accident that's getting ready to explode, with the car is getting ready to just be engulfed in flames, pulling somebody out of a car, or running into a burning building. Nobody knows, except the fireman. Until you've worn his shoes, and my son was a fireman, and search and rescue in the Marines. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what it's like. Could I do it? Probably. Would I want to have to do it? No. So let's give honor and value to our first responders, to our paramedics, to our firemen. Like I said earlier, buying a meal for somebody in the military. Hey, you see a couple firemen, you see a cop, you see somebody in uniform buy them a meal. A lot of people in this country, and this is another subject, another topic for another day. And we get it, we understand. I'm all for big business. I'm all for entrepreneurs. I'm all for capitalism. Everybody out there, there's a few little, there's a minority out there fighting and pushing socialism and all this radical. It doesn't work, people. It doesn't work. All you gotta do is look at history. Don't look at, today I want to be elected to my office again, and so I'm gonna promise everybody free school, free education, free college, free cell phones, free housing, free. It doesn't work. All you have to do, and we have to demand that they do, look at history. There's not a country today in this world out of 100 and something, 180, 90, countries, 200 countries, and I forget the number, that are surviving, where the people are surviving and thriving. Not one. Socialism doesn't work. So there's a lot of people. So another video someday, soon, will be about those in this country that are doing very well financially, doing very well. You make a good income. Some of you, like a lot of people, no matter what level, living beyond our means. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those whose comfort level is pretty high, And a lot of times, I know firsthand, because I work for people a lot of times with pretty good means, and sometimes they're the stingiest I've ever had to work for. And what I'd like you guys all to do is, you know, get out of your own way and buy a meal for somebody in uniform when you're at a restaurant. Pull out that plastic, pull out that cash, you know, and drop it right there, boom, and say, hey, I'm going to honor you today, and I'm going to buy you a meal. Let's not lose track of our humanity. We can talk. Well, I could talk for weeks, with a panel, with a think tank, about what things used to be like. I was born in 1958, so I'm not as old as some out there. But boy, things were different in the 70s and the 60s. Being raised in the 60s and early 70s, as a youngster and a teenager and stuff. Those were the good old days. People came back from World War II. My dad was in Korea, and he's not with us anymore. Miss you, Dad. But people came back from World War II, and man, this country was united. United. Everybody. You might have had a couple differences here, but boy, oh boy, even politics wasn't as corrupt and condescending and just full of all kinds of deception and craziness like it is now. It was a simpler time. Neighbors were neighbors. People said hi to each other. People had picnics together, and people shared lives and had community. We have a house group on Thursday night with 3-4 couples and some single people, and we're going to have 3 or 4 more join us, I think, on this Thursday night. We just love it. We love community. Community is so important. And so in closing, I've gone a little over what I wanted to go over. I got a little long-winded, and I stuck to what I wanted to stick to. I just elaborated a little bit too much. So I apologize for that, and hope you bear with these videos. And my intention with these videos is to just breathe a little life and encouragement into everybody who watches. So share these videos, please. My goal is to get connected with churches that have men's conferences, men's breakfasts, men's meetings of any kind, and speak to them. Speak to them so I can breathe life and encouragement and honor men and teach men just a little bit of what it would mean and what the value would be in not messing up your lives, especially as you're young. You're in your teenage years and college years and stuff. Boy, that's the time to really nail it with your value and what you want to leave as a legacy, and how you want to walk with integrity, and how you want to honor people and honor your own life. Honor your own life. Respect yourself. Yeah, we know there's a pull. Society wants to pull you one way. You've got all these parties you want to go to, and hot girls, and everybody's doing drugs, everybody's smoking pot, everybody's drinking, everybody. No, they're not. I'm not. I don't. I haven't. I have an occasional beer. I love to sit out on my back deck here and have a beer or two, but it's not about the beer. It's about chilling and relaxing, and not letting stuff like that get out of control. And that's the thing. Your life starts to get out of control. That snowball goes down, rolling down that hill at 100 miles an hour, and you may never stop it. And that's the tragedy. That's the tragedy I would love to spare men from. So let's not lose track of who we are as individuals, as neighbors, as a society, as a community, as a neighborhood. And let's today 9/10/19, and tomorrow 9/11/19. Let's honor those first responders, our military, so on and so on. A lot of people risked and took gave their lives, at 9/11, and most of this country, families, some of you families out there who lost somebody, most of us in this country will never forget. We will always want to honor your families, those that you lost, and just tell you that we love you and we love them.